The discussion between Piers Morgan and Richard Dawkins on the universe and religion reflects broader discussions about the nature of existence and the role of faith in understanding the cosmos. Morgan, a prominent media personality, and Dawkins, a renowned evolutionary biologist and atheist, represent contrasting viewpoints on religion's place in explaining the universe. This video examines their arguments through the lens of biblical verses, offering practical insights into how faith and reason can intersect in the quest for understanding. Piers Morgan often defends the importance of religion in providing meaning and moral guidance. He argues that religious frameworks offer profound answers to existential questions that scientific explanations alone may not fully address. For Morgan, religion is not just about dogma, but about providing a sense of purpose and connection. Richard Dawkins, on the other hand, argues from a scientific and atheistic perspective. He believes that religion is a human construct that often impedes scientific progress and rational thinking. Dawkins asserts that the universe and its complexities can be understood through science, which provides empirical evidence and logical explanations without resorting to supernatural claims.
When scientists and philosophers reason from evidence, they typically use a method of reasoning that has a technical name. It's called inferring to the best explanation, where the best explanation is one where you're invoking a cause which has the kind of powers that would be required to explain the phenomenon of interest. And you correctly pointed out in your conversation with him that when you get back to that, what physicists often call the singularity, the point where matter, space, time, and energy begin to exist, the materialist is really up against a huge conundrum, because prior to the origin of matter, there is no matter to do the causing. That's what we mean by the origin of matter, that's where it starts.
Right.
And so if you want to invoke a cause which is sufficient to explain the origin of matter, you can't invoke matter. It's in principle, the materialistic explanations are in principle insufficient. So you need to invoke something which is external to the material universe and is not bounded by time and space as well. And that starts to paint a picture of the kind of cause you would need that has the sort of attributes the traditional theists have traditionally associated with God.
Now, you see, Richard Dawkins, this is the nub of, I think, my whole issue with your position on this. And you can respond, obviously, to what you just heard in a moment. But given your new book is about the genetic book of the dead, and it effectively takes us from here to in perpetuity on a genetic trail where each part of existence feeds the next and so on. And I totally subscribe to that. The genome of every body and every organisation and so on creates, as you say, a comprehensive dossier on all the world as it moves forward. I get it. But when you go back to the very start, what is there before that? And that, I think I asked you last time, and Professor Meyer brought that up again as being the flaw in your position, which is what is there before it starts? What is nothing?
This is a question for a physicist, not a biologist, but what I would answer to Professor Meyer is that we need to explain complexity in terms of simplicity. And of course it's true that I cannot say what was there before the Big Bang. Physicists sometimes tell us that the word before doesn't even mean anything before the Big Bang. But whatever it was,
but it has to, doesn't it?
You cannot suddenly invoke...
Doesn't it have to? I mean, someone as logical as you are, and I believe you are, you know, you think about this all very logically. A logical mind surely has to appreciate that before the Big Bang, there has to have been something before then. Otherwise, what is nothing?
A physicist will tell you that
but what do you tell me?
I'm trying to tell you what a physicist would say first of all. They would say that you cannot use the word before for the Big Bang. Time began at the Big Bang. There was no before the Big Bang. I know it's contrary to common sense. Physicists don't necessarily deal with common sense.
Well, it makes no sense, does it? And that's what I mean. I think you're a logical man. That cannot make sense to you. The idea that you're not even allowed to use the word before the Big Bang, when every part of both of our brains tells us that that's obviously nonsensical, doesn't that make you think again?
we are not physicists. I, like you, am completely baffled by what physicists say to me, which is that you cannot use the word before for before the Big Bang. Time itself began at the Big Bang. Now that is totally counterintuitive. It's counterintuitive to me, it's counterintuitive to you, it's counterintuitive to Stephen Meyer, but we are not physicists. And you need to talk to a physicist. Talk to a physicist about that. And they will tell you that you cannot use the word before for the Big Bang.
Yeah, but you think that's as preposterous as I do.
I do, because I'm not a physicist.
You've just written a book as a biologist called The Genetic Book of the Dead, in which you talk about the body and the genome, comprehensive dossiers and so on. So you're prepared to expound a philosophy based on that as a biologist, which I completely respect, and it makes perfect sense. The book makes perfect sense the way that you have written it. But why would you then think that a physicist cannot be contradicted just simply because they're a physicist? I could contradict what you say as a biologist.
No, you really aren't getting it. I'm so sorry. Modern physics is exceedingly mysterious. It really is. I mean, have you tried to read some of the difficult modern physics books? It really is very difficult to understand. And intuition doesn't do it. You cannot use human intuition. Human intuition was built up by evolution over many millions of years to survive on the African plain, hunting and gathering, looking for waterholes, looking for mates and so on. Our brains were not built to understand the profundities of the origin of the universe, the end of the universe, the kind of things that physicists deal with. I think it's actually amazing that at least some human brains are capable of dealing with this kind of stuff. My brain isn't, and nor is yours.
No, but that's my point, though.
I wish it were.
Well, yeah, I wish both our brains could. But the truth is, it's because the human brain can't comprehend this, including, I don't think, any physicist. Because the moment they say you can't have before the Big Bang, they lose me completely just on a common sense perspective. It's that reason that I think there has to be a power that is greater than the human brain. And that gives me succor to my belief in God, and why I think people turn to gods of different types, obviously. They turn to that because it is incomprehensible otherwise what has happened here.
There has to be something more difficult to understand than the human brain can understand. I accept that. But it doesn't have to be God. It doesn't have to be the kind of God who, I don't know, forgives sins and listens to prayers and things like that. There is something very mysterious, and I don't understand it, and you don't understand it, and maybe we never will. I think it's not clear whether physicists understand it. Some do, some don't, but it's obviously going to be very mysterious. But God is not that interesting mystery. God is just a personification of human desires, a father figure, something like that, somebody who looks after you. You said at the beginning that it was comforting for you. A God is somebody who listens to prayers, who forgives sins, who takes action for the benefit of humanity or not, as the case may be. We're not talking about that now. We're talking about deeply, deeply mysterious, profound things which physics is working on, and it's very difficult to understand. And the fact that you don't understand it and I don't understand it is not good grounds for suddenly invoking a supernatural sky daddy.
Biblical verses and practical insights. To understand these perspectives more deeply, we can explore relevant biblical verses that address the nature of the universe and the role of faith. By interpreting these verses practically, we can gain insights into how faith and reason might coexist or clash. Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. This foundational verse establishes the biblical view of the universe's origin. It suggests that God is the ultimate creator, and the universe is a product of divine intention. For believers, this verse emphasizes the role of faith in understanding the universe's origins, positing that God's creative act is the starting point for all existence. From a practical standpoint, this verse can be seen as an invitation to explore how science and religion can complement each other. While science investigates the mechanisms of the universe, such as the Big Bang theory and the laws of physics, faith provides a context for why the universe exists at all. For many, integrating scientific understanding with spiritual belief enriches their comprehension of existence rather than creating conflict. Psalm 19, verse 1. The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of his hands. This verse reflects the idea that the natural world itself reveals the majesty of God's creation. It suggests that the beauty and complexity of the universe can be seen as evidence of divine craftsmanship. This perspective aligns with the idea that observing and studying the universe can lead to a greater appreciation of the divine. For those who hold religious beliefs, scientific discoveries about the universe can be viewed as uncovering the intricacies of God's creation, thereby deepening faith. For example, the complexity of biological systems or the vastness of space might be seen as affirming the belief in a purposeful creator. Hebrews 11:3. By faith we understand that the universe was formed at God's command, so that what is seen was not made out of what was visible. This verse underscores the concept that faith plays a crucial role in understanding the universe's origins. It implies that some aspects of creation may transcend empirical observation and require a faith-based perspective. From a practical perspective, this verse can be interpreted to mean that while empirical evidence is essential, there are dimensions of existence that might be beyond human comprehension and require faith. This view suggests that faith and reason address different aspects of human understanding. Science can explain physical phenomena, while faith provides meaning and purpose that might not be fully captured by scientific inquiry alone. 1 Corinthians 13:12. For now we see only a reflection as in a mirror, then we shall see face to face. Now I know in part, then I shall know fully, even as I am fully known. This verse acknowledges the limitations of human understanding and suggests that there is more to reality than what we can currently grasp. It implies that both scientific knowledge and religious faith are partial, and that ultimate understanding will come in a future state. In practice, this verse encourages humility in both scientific and religious endeavors. It suggests that while science can provide valuable insights into how the universe operates, there may be aspects of existence that transcend our current knowledge. This can foster an openness to integrating faith with scientific inquiry, recognizing that both have their roles in exploring the mysteries of the universe.